With the work that I do, there's a key element that informs and feeds into every new work, and that is about communication, about words, about language, about expression. All of these things come together in a multi-layered form. I guess you would cite it in the realm of sculpture, and mostly with audio. I guess ideas come out of a lot of thinking, lots and lots and lots of thoughts, and somehow in some place at some time you just go, yeah, that's it. The first work I did for Sculpture in the Gulf, this is going way back, this is 2005. And what I thought of doing was a sound recording in a particular site, different types of birds, all very specific to that site. And then what I did was I recorded them, obviously, and played them back into the site as the actual work. The sound waves did what sound waves do. They bounced off the foliage above them, and it swirled the sound around, expanded it. But what also was quite interesting was you weren't quite sure if it was real or not. And of course, there was nothing there to see in a sculptural walk where people are expecting objects. And then suddenly they got halfway across and stopped and said, wait a minute, is that real? And it was so, yeah, it was funny. It was very cool. And that was exactly what I wanted, was that the disjunction between the real and, well, it is the real, but it's pre-recorded. Whiteout was an idea that I came up with for one of the concrete bunkers in Devonport at Fort Takapuna. And I think it was to do with that coldness of the walls and the location and what it was used for. And I then thought, well, that would be interesting then to transform it into a softer environment. And I had this idea of cladding the whole interior with white woolly bats, as you do. Roof, walls, floor, and of course the woolly bats, they deaden the sound, so it became a very quiet, dead space, as it were. And then it got taken over by children. And the children renamed it as, we called it Whiteout, they renamed it as Heaven. And you'd hear these children going past, have you been to heaven? Oh no, where's heaven? Oh yeah, I'm going to heaven. And you think, okay, didn't quite see that one coming. I think with line dancing, that was a work that came about when I was thinking about musical instruments. So I was thinking guitars, violins, different things like that. These ideas sometimes sit around in your head, and like I say, sometimes there's the perfect moment, you know. Something goes click and you think this is the right work for this space. And of course the space will dictate how a work comes together. And out of nowhere came this idea of using the musical instrument as a vehicle to carry the sound work. When I say a musical instrument, you know, that's just an initial start to the thinking process. And these elements came together just quite serendipitously, and it ended up just coming to a beautiful infinity point on the other side of the water. And as it stretched over, it just had this lovely pattern to it. In the Gloaming is a fairly recent work that's up at Brick Bay at the moment. I've sort of got a bit of a fixation at the moment for the idea of gates, because gates are things that can open you to a new direction. They can stop you in your path, but you've got to go through them. You know, and as you go through, your gate will close and you're into a whole new space and a whole new adventure. And I just randomly happened to come across railway sleepers, you know. I ended up slicing them into planks and then turning those planks into the gate itself and hanging it off 2 half railway sleepers. We got the sound together, I sort of cut it out, made it very echoey, mixed it in with sounds from that space, and ended up with something that was really quite ethereal, I think was the word for it, which sat really nicely with the work. So really the concept is the important thing, and then what you use is just the vehicle for that concept. And that is the responsibility of the artist, to hone away what is irrelevant to the idea, to the concept. That concept has to be very clear. Anything that does not lend weight to the concept, you take away. So quite often you start with a lot of things. You put together all these bits and pieces, and then you go, that doesn't make sense, take that away. That doesn't make sense. Actually, I thought that was great in my mind, and it's not. It's crap. Right, get rid of that. Actually, let's start again, because we're working to this one point of communication with the audience. The way I see it is an artist responds to the world that we live in. And while we have writers to write about it, artists respond in a visual way with a visual language that can cross or transcend this, transcend the things that words don't describe. Making art is really about spending a lot of time in the world and in your mind and creating a relationship between those two spaces so that you are communicating something to other people that is actually not about you at all. It's about the world that you live in. Every work that you do is still feeding into a body of work that will eventually get there as you build upon your experience. So you have to constantly keep working it, keep doing it.